done all the time, it's not. So, you wanna make a comment, Jim?
I just said Tony had a question.
Oh, get them,
Yeah, Tony, Clymer Avenue. Two things is that if you were going to consider cameras, I would make it two separate issues. Cameras on the building versus cameras in the room. But my question is, while you're tabling and thinking about it, would be that if the township were to videotape that, does that mean that privately it would not be allowed to be videotaped? Because my concern would be is if the township's equipment malfunction, we have 3 cameras in here and 3 people can see it and the township's equipment didn't work. That would be my concern. So whatever.
I don't believe legally we can ban anybody from videotaping this meeting.
I think you can though. I think you can if the,
I don't think so.
It's a public meeting, Tony. Public meeting, people are it's perfectly legal to videotape the
Oh.
meeting, yeah.
okay, that was, I got the answer to my question.
Okay.
There's enough people taping it. That's all I have to say.
Okay, we're gonna table it, despite it, I understand your viewpoint, but I don't necessarily agree with the frequency you talk about. Okay, new business,
All right, man. All right, man.
and then, okay? Public comment, before we do that, I promised the young man, and I wanna praise you where we think we are, on the Adelphia gas compressor station that's proposed to be sold up off Rich Hill Road. There are a lot of things going on, a lot of things we don't know about it, there's a lot of things that we do know about, and we're attempting to find out. I can tell you this, in the past 4 or 5 days, I've had 3 conversations with Fitzpatrick, I've had 3 conversations with Craig Stats. Craig Stats, either this afternoon or tomorrow morning, will be meeting with the Adelphia people in Harrisburg. His objective, as he told me, his only objective is to find out from them why they're not talking with us and communicating with us on this project. So he will report that to me tomorrow afternoon, if his meeting is tomorrow afternoon. Fitzpatrick, he has a person dedicated working on this, documenting everything. We provided most of the documents that we have, and we presented to FERC and so forth. They have that in Fitzpatrick's office, so they're fully up to speed with the data. And Fitzpatrick has now written 3 letters to Adelphia and to FERC on this subject in terms of opposing the location of the station. We have had 1 meeting in December with FERC, or with Adelphia, not very successful. It was supposed to be concerning emergency management, which there was virtually nothing about emergency management talked about. My view, and I think the people who were at that meeting share it, the people there, if they knew what they were talking about, they sure didn't indicate that. We asked the question, how many other stations do they have? And they said none. I said, have you ever had one? And they said no. So that's where we're starting with this crowd. And it's obvious they're using consulting firms, legal counsel, and so forth to put together this whole package that they have that's been presented for them. As you all know, the deadline date for comment was February 3rd. FERC has put out a notice, they now extended that to March 1st. So, for reasons of shutdown, I think. And so there's still time, if you have any individual comments or thoughts, to put them in. The more they get, the more important that is to their analysis of this situation. Tomorrow, Mr. Lippincott will have a meeting with members, representatives of Adelphia, and the purpose of their being here, as he advised me, is that they are coming to apologize because of the way they've not communicated with us. There have been several letters written with that tone in the letter that was not happening, and it was a fact. Mary has just written a letter on our behalf. In the past week, reconfirming that same subject. So we are putting a lot of pressure on. There are 241, I believe, people have responded to the comments on FERC. So the more we get in there, the better it is.
Actually, Cliff Cole, the Grant Road, it's actually over 400 at this point, including one written by Mr. Lippincott, which I'm surprised you didn't mention, that was done in the name of West Rock Hill
Yes.
Township Supervisor. I'd just like to comment that it was extremely well written, and the research and the amount of effort put into that was very much appreciated by at least this private citizen. I've had,
I do want to add to you there, Mr. Cliff, the parties involved between Greg, the solicitor, and the engineer really took our comments at the DEP meeting
right,
and really comprised them together in that
but there was more than that, there was also.
Absolutely, but.
There was
but they
also
really
mention
missed-
of the whole pipeline and the concern of the quarry dynamite, dynamite
Sure.
at the quarry being in close proximity to the actual pipeline itself, which is above and beyond the compressor.
Thank you for commenting on that.
So, yeah.
So both the letter that the staff put together, which Mary composed with their input, was, as you said, very effective, very well done.
The other comment that I'd like to make, and I think this is a request perhaps, is that there has been some citizen meetings that have been happening over this, and one of the frustrations was that the West Rock Hill, that Richland Town was not getting involved or wasn't doing anything. Well, that has changed. The Richland Township is now vocally opposed to it, and in fact, it was even a topic of the Quakertown school board meeting. So there's, and I talked to Representative Stats about that. The other comment I have to make is that you mentioned Stats and Fitzpatrick. What about Casey? Casey is known to be an environmentalist, and I have contacted his office.
Okay.
Has he responded?
They've responded, but I haven't connected, if that makes any sense. Yeah. They are aware of the issue.
We also have a group of citizens, I think there's 7 of us that are working on this. We've also submitted comments and papers and so forth to FERC, and we've met with them in December, and now we're meeting with them again tomorrow night. It'll be a group of 7 or 8 people that meet with the representatives from Adelphia. And we have 20-some questions we are expecting and hopeful of getting answered. So,
And I've also noticed that there's a link to the FERC on the website now. I assume that was put up by Mr. Lippincott. These are all steps in the right direction.
well, we're hoping to have some sets. Mr. Linden.
I have a question. Is this gonna be a verbal apology to Greg? Shouldn't Adelphi be presenting you with a written apology for their behavior?
So we'll have, Bob, Greg has invited me to join it tomorrow.
Well,
And we will,
I mean, something besides some words.
well, yeah, that's, we're gonna hear what you're saying, and we're gonna tell them we want it in writing.
Okay.
Well, we don't want it.
Beg pardon?
We don't want it, not the apology. We don't want the compressor.
No,
That should be made clear.
we want the apology for the way they've been treated. We got plans, but they're not very complete plans. We got them from Bucks County, and they had them since the 14th of December. We met with them on the 17th of December, and they told us the plans wouldn't be, any plans wouldn't be available till after the first year, probably the middle of January. And we see nothing except what Greg got from Bucks County. Steve got, I'm sorry. So it's an all-round non-discussion, or we're concerned. And we've never had any discussions about any plan, any submittal relative to ordinances and so forth that are being violated by what they're saying. Because they're gonna do what they say they're gonna do. And they're violations of the wetlands. well, so it's a mess. And they're using old technology in the station. Under the new technology, a lot of this problem wouldn't exist if they used electric motors to drive, to create the issue versus
We don't want that.
gas engines.
We don't want electric motors.
Yeah. If it's gonna be, it should be electric. And we don't know if it's gonna be, we're gonna continue to fight it, but, we'll see, keep fighting. But thank you for your interest. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Tony?
Thanks, Don. The consent agenda, for the planning commission, is that gonna be the way it is now, it's gonna be in with the consent?
No, the planning, it's in the consent agenda because the meeting was canceled.
Okay.
So there was no report to give, and if there's no report to give, it gets put up into the consent agenda.
Okay,
It'll move back down,
okay,
but it was canceled due to the snowstorm last year.
okay.
An example, with the conservation committee, doesn't have a meeting there in the consent agenda where it's appropriate.
When you said it, you didn't say that it was canceled, that's why I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we put a memo in the consent agenda saying that it was canceled. So when you download the whole agenda, a piece of paper's in there saying that it was canceled.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Yes, John?
John Swarter, Bridge Valley Road. I want to go back to the camera issue again, just to put my own 2 cents in. I think we need to look at it in terms of safety and security. You know, one of the things that's been part of the comprehensive plan, we value and treasure our rural environment that we live in here. But in some of the meetings that took place with the quarry, there were some borderline out of control moments there, both in the planning commission meetings and the supervisors meetings. The issue with the compressor station, there were a couple borderline out of control moments. It's the fact of the world today that sooner or later, those things happen everywhere when things go over the line. And I think, as was mentioned before, if you've got a single employee in the building during the day, or whether you have a contentious meeting here, for your own safety and security, I would suggest that you pursue the issue of putting cameras in the building. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you for your input. Yes, ma'am.
James from Tower Road. I want to agree with that, because the way everything is anymore, you really do need videos, you need proof that something happens. I like to be, you want people to get involved with the township. What better way to have a place on your website that they know that they can go to that particular spot, look at something that was done by the township, and say, yeah, I want to get involved in that, I want to get involved in this, I want to help with the township. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want your meetings videotaped. I don't see any reason why. By the township, at a spot where township residents can go and look at it. Very,
Okay,
that's all.
thank you for your input. It'll be part of the consideration. As all the other comments will be. Any more comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion?
Second.
So moved, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for your input.